Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by, checking out the video. Always grateful for that, much appreciated. Guys, today I'm going to show you the proper way to rig a creature bait in order to maximize not only the amount of bites you get on it, but the amount of fish that you land on it. Because there's a bunch of people that I see that I fish with, and I see how they fish them and how they rig them. They don't got them rigged right. They think they do, but they don't. So I'm going to give you guys some really good tips and advice that's going to add up to a lot more efficiency on your creature baits, a lot more bites, a lot more in the boat catches in here. Okay, first of all, when we get into this, creature bait we're talking about, this is the Zoom Z Hog. This is my favorite. Or if you're using like a sweet beaver or something like that, just a creature bait like this. Now, it's a little bit different than other soft plastics because the creature bait usually is a little bit more bulky. Some of the plastic's a little bit thicker on it than like a worm. Therefore, it requires a different, type of rigging on it to get it set up right. So I'm going to get into how to do that. So now the first thing, let's talk about the right setup with it. Most of the time I'm using it on anywhere between say 17 to 25 pound test, Seaguar and Vizex line. I do like to fish a little bit heavier line because I'm usually pitching and flipping my creature baits. And then the hook I use is a straight shank. This is a Gamakatsu G Finesse straight shank hook right here. Now this is one of the key elements in rigging a creature bait because a lot of people use an EWG hook. And while an EWG hook is a lot more user-friendly, it's easier to rig the bait, it's not near as effective as landing the fish. You definitely will lose more fish on an EWG hook than you will a straight shank, even though the straight shank is a little bit less user-friendly, but I'll show you how to make it like that. So most of the time I'm using like a 3/0 on it. I think one of the big mistakes I see with people on creature baits is they go too big. They use these big honking, super thick 4 and 5/0 straight shank hooks or whatever. You don't need that, guys. You're gonna land a lot more fish with a lighter, smaller diameter hook, and also you're gonna get more bites because the hook is less obtrusive in the boat than the bait. So I recommend, like I said, that 3/0, no more than a 4/0 straight shank hook on there. And most of the time, my favorite sinker size is a 5/16. If I'm just, say, pitching and flipping those creature baits around stumps and lay down trees and around boat docks and stuff like that, a 5/16, I really like the way it falls. I will go heavier if it's like super thick cover I'm trying to penetrate or windy, but 5/16, I get lots of bites with that. Okay, the next thing, guys, is when you come through, you want to make sure that you come through far enough because you want to come through probably about a 1/2 of an inch. Now, a lot of people don't come through this much. Now, the reason that you want to come through a 1/2 of an inch is because when you run your hook shank back through the plastic, it's going to completely hide not only the eye of the hook, but it's going to hide your knot here. And a lot of times I see guys that they don't run it far enough down there, and they've got their shank or their line sticking out the top. So come through about a 1/2 of an inch like that, and usually come to the point where your little barb is just exposed like that. That's going to keep it in there. So I got it up like that. Now the next mistake a lot of guys make is when they're doing this, is they simply take the hook and they insert it right back in the middle of the bait like that. You don't want to do that either, because if you insert that thing right back in the middle of the bait, it basically becomes so weedless, you're going to lose a lot of fish because you got a ton of plastic to penetrate even before you get any penetration in the fish's mouth. So when you come through it, guys, come through all the way out like this and just lay it in that slot. You don't even put it back in the plastic, just sort of lay it in that slot like that. And that is going to greatly increase the number of bites that you do land when you do that. Most of the time, you're not going to get hung up or anything like that. Another big key element, guys, is make sure your bait is perfectly straight. You've got to really work with that. So you can only do that once you get it set up. Now, when I peg it, guys, I have come to the conclusion that the best pegging system is a toothpick. I don't like the bobber stoppers. I think the bobber stoppers lock the sinker down too tight on the bait, and if it's locked down too tight on the bait, you don't get that separation away from the bait, and it's a lot easier to lose the fish because the fish has more leverage if that bait stays in their mouth. So what I do with that is I put the toothpick in there, and I can control the tension, or I can control how much the actual slip sinker moves. So I want to put it in there just far enough where it holds it, but it doesn't impede it. I want this slip sinker to be able to slide like that. So I've got it on there where it holds up, yet it also slides easy, and it meshes right down there on the head like that. Now, as you can see right here, this is not right, guys. See how that bait is a little bit crooked? I see a lot of people fishing their creature baits like that. Guys, this is another thing you don't want to do. You want this bait perfectly straight. So like here, since it's not perfectly straight, that means that I probably came in not far enough down on the bait. If your bait's crooked, that means you've hooked the point of the hook too far up in the bait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back down and I'm going to hook it further down the bait to get the bait perfectly straight like that. Most of the time, like I said, if your bait's not straight, you're hooking it in too high. And then adjust your slip sinker, make sure it's straight, and then you've got a nice, perfect, straight creature bait like that. And the way that looks right there, nice, compact, straight, everything is flush with the slip sinker on there. You don't have your hook point out or your eye point out or your knot. You got the hook ready to go. It's just laying there in the little groove, ready to pop out of there. And that is the best way to rig a creature bait like there to not only get the most bites, but land the ones that you get. So that's another thing with that, guys. It's like those attention to details as far as when you're rigging your soft plastics or rigging anything out there. There's little bitty details that make the difference between, getting 10 bites in a day and getting 5 bites in a day, or, if you do get 10 bites, landing 9 of those fish rather than like 6 or 7 of them. Just those little things that you can control with that. So anyway, guys, I highly suggest trying it like that, rigging like that, and I think it's going to be a lot more enjoyable day on the water for you. So I'll talk to you guys later.